Now, bringing us, because you've had 2 rather large injuries, so bring me through the first thing that happened.
Yeah, so the first thing that happened was that when I must have been 10, nearly 11. And I've told you about all the exercise I was doing. And I was put into a race, and it was 800 meters running, followed by 800 meters swimming, which I did. And it was great, and I loved it. But at the end of it, the back of it was actually my right ankle was sore. So after a few weeks, we went to the doctors, and the doctor said, "Oh, it looks like you've strained your Achilles, and you need to take some time out. You need to rest." Well, can you imagine what that felt like? You know, I'm 11 years old, doing all those different activities, and I'm being told to rest.
Yeah.
And being a little rebellious Chloe, I didn't really listen to the doctors, so I carried on moving. I'm the kind of person that runs up the stairs 2 at a time. I don't do things slowly. And my ankle got worse and worse to the point where I couldn't put my heel on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so which kind of then forced me to, okay, you are actually going to have to slow down. But it got so bad that we had to, I think we went to see 7 different specialists.
Oh my gosh. That's quite a... What do you think it was that prevented you from slowing down? Was there like a fear associated with it? Was it, you know, in the moments when you weren't being active, was your mind more active? Like, I'm just trying to get into your headspace as to why you couldn't slow down.
I mean, I was 10, I was 11, I was just used to moving all the time. And I suppose that was part of my identity. So when I was asked to stop, I was like, well, you know, if you know any children, you ask them to slow down or walk, they don't do it. So I think I just thought maybe I was invincible. Yeah. And this was going to be fine. But as time went by, it definitely wasn't fine.
And I feel like that would be such a blow, because your entire life has been centered around movement and expressing yourself that way. And you're right, like at the age of 10, you do feel invincible. Like you're a child.
Yeah.
Like every other moment in your life, I'm sure you just bounced back from things. And do you think that your parents kind of had the same idea that you were potentially invincible and that movement would help? Or how do you think they perceived the injury?
I mean, they were very, very concerned. They were taking me to many different doctors and specialists because I was in a lot of pain, couldn't put my heel on the floor. And so I did gradually reduce the exercise, but it still wasn't getting better.
And what ended up happening? Was there a solution? Or
I mean, one of the doctors in Harley Street told me, you know, categorically that there's going to be no exercise anymore. I need to have an operation on my back.
Your back?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. But luckily, we didn't listen to them.
Okay.
And eventually the Olympic swimming team's coach, I don't know how we managed to speak to him, but I suppose my parents had spoken to various different people to try and find a solution. And he took one look at my leg and just said, that's an Achilles rupture. We need to operate. So
you'd been walking around with an Achilles rupture?
Well, I mean, I'd had my leg, I'd had cortisone injections in it. I'd been on crutches. I started secondary school on crutches.
Oh my gosh.
It was quite harrowing, I suppose, looking back.
And from the point of like running and then swimming the 800 meters to the point of that doctor saying this is a Achilles heel rupture, how long was that period?
6 to 9 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that whole time you were in pain? I
was in pain, and I was also transitioning from primary school to secondary school, which is a massive, you know, transformation. Yeah.
Do you remember how you felt at that time?
Starting school?
Just the whole thing. If you could put it in a few words.
I think I just felt quite low. Again, I felt like I was the odd one out. And I felt like I'd lost a little bit of who I was. because I couldn't do the things that I like doing.
Definitely. And what happened after the diagnosis of the Achilles rupture?
So after the diagnosis, I had the operation, but the doctors told me, because they'd never ever seen the kind of injury I had in a child, they told me I couldn't ever exercise again.
And how did that make you feel hearing that?
It's strange, isn't it? How when I think back, I can't remember. I can't remember how that felt. But I just know that my life was broken, I suppose. That feeling of being lost, of being confused, and probably quite angry. Like a bit victim mentality. Like, why is this happening to me? What have I done to deserve this? It was maybe that kind of feeling.
So a lot of anger. And how did you deal with that?
I think to begin with, I probably went into a lot of, that sort of victim, like, why me, feeling low. And then as time went on, and I can only say this when I look back reflecting on it, is that I kind of replaced that exercise high with drinking alcohol.
Okay.
Probably not the best thing to do, but, I was probably 13, 14 years old, and the people I were hanging around with were doing that, so it seemed like a good idea.
It does at 13 years old, doesn't it? Because, again, it goes back to you want to fit in.
Yeah.
And these people that you were drinking with, were they deemed the cool people in school?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So you're still recovering from this. You're kind of wrapping your head around this massive change in your life. And then you find, would you say it's almost a comfort in these people and this drinking that you start to do?
I don't think it was even comfort. I think it was just a replacement. If you think how many hours I was spending a week dancing and doing gymnastics and swimming and diving, all of a sudden that's just gone.
Yeah.
So it almost became, I had lots of spare time, and that was an opportunity to hang around with some people and maybe meet some new friends, do something different.
Did your parents view this as a positive because you were making new friends?
I don't think so.
No.
No, my parents, I was the oldest of three girls, and I think that my parents expected a lot of me. So obviously drinking and staying out late and hanging around with maybe the people that weren't going to be my best support.
Yes.
I think my parents were a little bit disappointed, to say the least.
I see. Did they express that with you?
A number of times.
Oh, no. And what would you say?
What could I say?
Yeah.
I was a bit of a rebellious teenager. I thought I knew best. So, yeah, I remember a time when I was starting my very first part-time job, and it was on a Saturday morning. I was working in a jeans store, like a denim store.
Yeah.
And I'd been out with a friend on the Friday night, and I think we'd been drinking Bacardi in the park.
Fun.
Sounds fun, doesn't it? But
yes.
I ended up being pretty sick and arrived back home. My friend brought me home, and I think I remember my mum opening the front door and just looking at me, and she said, "Just get to bed. We'll talk about this in the morning."
Oh gosh.
And of course, I woke up the next morning feeling like dreadful. And do you know what my punishment was?
What?
She made me go and do the job.
Good. And how did you feel that first shift?
Yeah, it was not fun.
No.
I did not feel proud of myself, but I did do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And did that moment change anything for you? Or did you just keep on your behaviors?
I would love to say, that.
Yeah. It changed everything.
It changed everything, just that ping.
But,
But no, definitely not. I carried on making those mistakes and probably abusing myself because
you were trying to fill some void.
I was trying to, yeah, exactly, trying to fill a gap. Yeah.